In the arid hills of southeastern Turkey, a discovery was made that would shake the foundations of history. A hill, unassuming at first glance, hides a secret older than civilization itself. Here lies Göbekli Tepe, the world's oldest known temple dating back over 12,000 years, long before the wheel, long before writing, and long before cities existed. When Klaus Schmidt, the German archaeologist who first recognized its significance, uncovered the site in the 1990s, he realized he had stumbled upon something unprecedented. Stone pillars carved with strange symbols, animals, abstract shapes, and mysterious humanoid forms rose from the earth in circular enclosures. Some weighed up to 20 tons. Some stood over 5 meters tall, precisely arranged in concentric rings. For decades, archaeologists believed monumental construction required large, organized societies, but Göbekli Tepe challenges that assumption entirely. How could hunter-gatherers, people without agriculture, without permanent settlements, construct something so massive and intricate? That question alone sends chills down the spine. Every pillar is carved with care, every stone positioned with precision, every symbol etched with intent. This was no simple gathering of rocks. This was architecture, art, and spirituality merged in a way that predates the rise of civilization by millennia. And the carvings themselves are a language without translation. Predatory animals, lions, foxes, snakes, are immortalized in stone. Abstract patterns that defy logic wrap around pillars like codes waiting to be deciphered. Some suggest these carvings are cosmic maps. Others believe they represent ritualistic symbolism, while some whisper of knowledge passed down from forgotten civilizations. The purpose of Göbekli Tepe remains one of history's greatest mysteries. Was it a temple, a sanctuary, a place of learning, or perhaps a site for rituals so profound they transcended the understanding of the people who built it? Every ring, every pillar, every carving points to intentionality, yet the reason behind it is obscured by 12,000 years of silence. Archaeologists have unearthed multiple layers, revealing that the site was deliberately buried around 8,000 BCE, long after it was constructed. But why would people bury their own monumental creation? Some theories suggest ritual closure. Others hint at the collapse of the society that built it. Yet no consensus exists. The burial itself adds to the enigma, leaving us to ask, was Göbekli Tepe a secret meant to be hidden, or a message for future generations? Even the landscape plays its part in the mystery. Located atop a hill, Göbekli Tepe commands a sweeping view of the surrounding plains. Could its placement be astronomical? Some researchers argue the pillars align with celestial events, the solstices, perhaps even specific star patterns. If true, this would suggest a level of astronomical understanding far beyond what we expect from nomadic hunter-gatherers. But Göbekli Tepe doesn't just challenge archaeology. It challenges the very narrative of human progress. For centuries, scholars believed that agriculture led to permanent settlements, which led to organized societies, which eventually produced monumental architecture. Göbekli Tepe turns this idea on its head. Here, architecture appears first, in a time when humans were supposedly too primitive to create it. Could it be that religion and ritual inspired the birth of civilization itself? And the more we examine the carvings, the more they raise questions. Some pillars depict creatures that are almost mythical, blending features of multiple animals, while others show abstract symbols that seem to encode knowledge lost to time. Are these images purely symbolic, or do they carry messages about the world the builders knew? about their environment, their cosmology, or even events we cannot yet imagine? Every discovery at Göbekli Tepe invites more questions than answers. Stone by stone, symbol by symbol, the site whispers of a world we thought we understood, but no longer do. And while modern science struggles to explain how these structures were built, every pillar, every ring, every hidden chamber seems to challenge the limits of human capability, creativity, and ambition. Standing before the massive pillars, one cannot help but wonder, who were these people? What drove them to erect monuments of such scale and complexity? And what secrets did they intend to leave behind for those of us who came thousands of years later, wandering the hilltops of southeastern Turkey, searching for meaning in stone? Göbekli Tepe is more than a site. It is a riddle carved in limestone. It is a question that refuses to be answered. And as we begin our journey into its mysteries, we will uncover a story that predates history itself, a story of human ingenuity, spirituality, and a world that existed long before we thought civilization began. To truly grasp the scale of Göbekli Tepe, one must first consider the pillars themselves. Some stand over 5.5 meters tall, carved from hard limestone, and weigh up to 20 tons. These are not ordinary stones. They are monolithic works of art, intricately engraved with depictions of animals, abstract symbols, and mysterious humanoid figures. Yet these were not quarried using modern tools. There were no metal chisels, no cranes, no concrete scaffolding. Only stone, wood, and human ingenuity. Archaeologists have spent decades trying to understand how these colossal pillars were cut, transported, and erected by a society that, by all accounts, consisted primarily of hunter-gatherers. One theory suggests that the builders used stone hammers and chisels made from flint, but the precision achieved still challenges explanation. Entire pillars were shaped in situ, carved carefully before being moved to their final positions, a feat that would be impressive even today. Even more astonishing is the arrangement of the pillars. They form circular and oval enclosures, each with pairs of central pillars standing taller than the rest, almost like guardians. Around them are smaller, T-shaped stones, each decorated with carved animals, lions, foxes, snakes, boars, and abstract symbols that scholars are only beginning to interpret. Some pillars appear anthropomorphic, hinting that these may represent ancestral spirits or deities. The carvings themselves are a language of mystery. Take the fox, for example. Some researchers suggest that the fox was a symbol of cunning or survival, but others see in it something far older, a totemic or cosmological symbol whose meaning is lost to time. Birds, scorpions, snakes, and wild boars appear repeatedly. Are these depictions of the local environment, symbolic guardians, or part of a ritualistic language meant to convey stories or warnings? And then there are the abstract symbols. Some look like simple geometric forms. Others seem almost like astronomical charts, encoding star positions or lunar cycles. Certain pillars display combinations of shapes that seem to repeat across enclosures, suggesting a shared system of meaning, a proto-writing, or even early calendrical notation. The possibility that hunter-gatherers of this era were already recording information through such complex symbols upends conventional timelines of human cognitive development. The construction techniques are equally mystifying. Some pillars were clearly quarried from nearby limestone ridges, but moving 20-ton monoliths across uneven terrain and placing them precisely in concentric circles requires not just labor, but planning, coordination, and engineering knowledge. Researchers have suggested methods using wooden sledges, ropes, and earthen ramps, But these theories, while plausible, barely scratch the surface. To achieve such precision, aligning pillars, carving them symmetrically, and ensuring structural stability is an engineering challenge even modern construction would struggle to meet. And yet, despite these immense challenges, Göbekli Tepe stands. Its circular enclosures have survived over 12,000 years, outlasting entire civilizations. This endurance hints that the builders understood not only how to construct massive stones, but also how to stabilize them for millennia, factoring in gravity, weather, and natural erosion. Every pillar tells a story, yet none of them speak clearly. The repetition of motifs suggests ritual significance, possibly tied to hunting magic, shamanic practices, or the cycles of life and death. Some anthropologists argue that Göbekli Tepe functioned as a ritual center for a dispersed population, a place where hunter-gatherers could gather seasonally to perform ceremonies, bond socially, and maintain shared beliefs. This idea itself is revolutionary. Conventional wisdom suggests that agriculture led to permanent settlements, which then allowed monumental architecture to emerge. Göbekli Tepe flips that assumption. Here, monumental architecture exists before agriculture, possibly inspiring the rise of complex society. In other words, perhaps spirituality and ritual led humans to organize, cultivate, and settle, rather than the other way around. The site's deliberate burial adds another layer of mystery. Around 8000 BCE, long after construction, the enclosures were intentionally filled with dirt. Why would a society bury such monumental effort? Some theories suggest ritual closure, while others propose that environmental changes or societal shifts made the site obsolete. But the careful burial, layer by layer, indicates purpose, not abandonment. The stones were hidden, but preserved, almost as if the builders intended them to wait for future generations to rediscover them. Göbekli Tepe's symbolic complexity also hints at cognitive sophistication. The ability to plan monumental construction, encode abstract symbols, and maintain shared rituals implies a society far more advanced than previously thought possible for the era. Each pillar is not only a work of art, it is a record of human thought, belief, and creativity, frozen in stone for millennia. And yet, for all its achievements, Göbekli Tepe leaves us with more questions than answers. Who exactly built it? How did they coordinate such immense labor without centralized leadership? What was the full meaning of the carvings? Why did they bury their own temples? Perhaps the greatest mystery is the human story behind the stones. Göbekli Tepe challenges our assumptions about what it means to be civilized, suggesting that human ingenuity, spirituality, and community could exist long before we invented writing, cities, or agriculture. It forces us to reconsider the timeline of human history and to admit that the story we tell ourselves may only be part of a much larger, far stranger narrative. And as we continue to explore Göbekli Tepe, we must ask ourselves, if humans could achieve this level of sophistication 12,000 years ago, what other secrets lie buried, forgotten, or lost to time? Are there civilizations older than we realize, leaving traces that challenge everything we know about our past? Göbekli Tepe is not just a site. It is a portal to understanding the origins of human ingenuity, ritual, and imagination, a place where stone, art, and mystery converge. Each pillar, each carving, each buried layer invites us to look deeper, think harder, and question more profoundly. And this is only the beginning. In the next part, we will delve deeper into the quarries, unfinished pillars, and construction techniques, exploring how such monumental stones could have been shaped and moved by a society without modern technology. To understand Göbekli Tepe is to confront a paradox: massive stones carved and arranged with precision by people who, by all conventional measures, were still hunter-gatherers. These were not simple stacked rocks. Some pillars weighed up to 20 tons, and they were not randomly placed. They formed concentric circles, carefully aligned and oriented. Archaeologists have studied nearby quarries to determine how these enormous monoliths were extracted. Evidence shows that the pillars were carved directly from the bedrock, using flint tools and possibly wooden wedges to split the stone. Even a single pillar required weeks, if not months, of labor, demanding extraordinary planning, coordination, and knowledge of the material. One of the most puzzling aspects is how the builders moved these monoliths into place. Without the wheel, pulleys, or draft animals, they relied on ingenuity alone. Some theories suggest wooden sledges, lubricated with water or clay, dragged across prepared tracks. Others propose earthen ramps to gradually lift and position the stones. Yet even with such methods, the precision achieved, vertical alignment, perfectly circular enclosures, and carefully spaced carvings, remains astonishing. The T-shaped pillars themselves are a marvel of both engineering and symbolism. Many of them display animal reliefs: lions, foxes, snakes, wild boars, and birds. Some carvings depict predators dominating prey, while others show animals in seemingly ritualistic or mythic poses. Scholars debate whether these represent actual fauna, spiritual symbolism, or stories of cosmic significance. And it is not just the animals. Abstract symbols, circles, V-shapes, and intricate geometric patterns appear repeatedly across pillars. Some researchers suggest these may encode celestial information, marking solstices or star positions, while others believe they represent ritualistic or cosmological knowledge that guided the builder's worldview. The architectural choices themselves hint at cognitive sophistication. Each circular enclosure, with taller central pillars flanked by smaller stones, suggests a deliberate plan, an understanding of space, structure, and symbolism far beyond what we normally attribute to pre-agricultural humans. It's as if the builders sought to translate their beliefs, myths, and knowledge into stone architecture. And then there are the unfinished pillars, massive stones left half-carved in the quarry. One, still embedded in the bedrock, measures over 6 meters long and would have weighed well over 20 tons. Why leave it unfinished? Was it an attempt abandoned due to technical challenges, a ritual act, or an intentional marker of something we no longer understand? These incomplete stones are silent witnesses to ambition, struggle, and perhaps even the limits of human capability at the time. Gobekli Tepe also raises profound questions about the origins of civilization. For decades, historians believed that agriculture led to permanent settlements, which then allowed organized societies to construct monumental architecture. But here we see the opposite. Monumental architecture predates agriculture. Could it be that spirituality, ritual, and communal gathering inspired humans to settle, cultivate, and organize societies? That faith, not necessity, became the catalyst for civilization? The burial of Göbekli Tepe adds yet another layer of mystery. Around 8000 BCE, long after its construction, the enclosures were deliberately filled with soil. Entire circles were covered with care, stones left standing but hidden from view. The reasoning is unknown. Some theorists suggest ritual closure, others speculate a societal collapse, or a deliberate act to preserve the site for posterity. Whatever the reason, this deliberate burial ensured that the temple would endure through millennia, hidden but preserved, a message frozen in time. And the more one studies Göbekli Tepe, the more one sees connections to other ancient mysteries around the globe. Consider Baalbek in Lebanon, Pumapunku in Bolivia, or Malta's Gantija temples. Across continents, ancient people manipulated massive stones with astonishing precision, often aligned with celestial phenomena, often creating enduring structures that defy conventional understanding. These parallels raise the question: was there a shared knowledge or lost technology circulating among early human societies? Or are we witnessing independent bursts of ingenuity, each pushing the limits of what humans could achieve in isolation? Göbekli Tepe does not offer easy answers. Each pillar, each carving, each layer of soil contributes to a story we can only partially reconstruct. Its existence challenges our assumptions about intelligence, culture, and the progression of human society. It forces us to ask difficult questions. What other knowledge has been lost? How many ancient civilizations existed long before we believed humans were capable of monumental feats? And what drove people to carve their beliefs, fears, and cosmology into stone? The site's symbolic complexity is matched by its sheer endurance. Despite thousands of years of erosion, earthquakes, and human activity, the pillars still stand. This speaks not only to the physical skill of the builders, but also to an understanding of structure, stability, and geology that remains impressive even today. And perhaps the most haunting aspect of all is that Göbekli Tepe, like the world's other megalithic sites, leaves us with more questions than answers. We can measure, model, and speculate, but the human story behind the stones remains elusive. Who were these people? How did they coordinate such labor? What spiritual or cosmological insights guided them? Why were these incredible temples buried deliberately, then forgotten for millennia? As we ponder these questions, we begin to see Göbekli Tepe not just as an archaeological site, but as a window into the human mind, into our earliest attempts to understand the cosmos, society, and the mysteries of existence itself. And as the sun sets over the hills of southeastern Turkey, the pillars cast long shadows, silent guardians of secrets we may never fully comprehend. They challenge us to think differently about the origins of civilization, the power of ritual, and the capacity of early humans to shape the world around them. Göbekli Tepe is more than stone circles and carved pillars. It is a profound expression of human curiosity, ritual, and connection to the cosmos. Scholars have long speculated that the placement of the enclosures was not arbitrary. The site sits atop a hill, commanding views of the surrounding plains, and some researchers suggest that its orientation aligns with celestial phenomena, the rising of particular stars, solstices, and perhaps even the cycles of the moon. Consider the pillars of Enclosure D, one of the largest and most intricately carved rings. The central T-shaped monoliths appear to frame the horizon in alignment with the sunrise on certain days of the year. Could these alignments have been markers for ceremonial dates, agricultural planning, or a deeper cosmological understanding? The idea that hunter-gatherers possessed such astronomical knowledge challenges conventional assumptions about prehistoric intelligence and cognition. The symbolism carved into the pillars adds yet another layer of complexity. Animals dominate the reliefs. Lions crouch as if stalking prey. Snakes coil around pillars. Foxes appear in hunting poses, and birds perch silently in stone. But some depictions are more enigmatic. Humanoid figures with exaggerated features, abstract geometric patterns, and repeated symbols whose meaning remains undeciphered. Are these carvings records of myths, cosmological maps, or messages intended for future generations? Göbekli Tepe's spiritual significance cannot be overstated. Many scholars propose that it was a ritual center for a dispersed population, a place where hunter-gatherers gathered seasonally to perform ceremonies, share knowledge, and strengthen social cohesion. The sheer scale of labor required suggests that building Göbekli Tepe was not merely functional, it was a spiritual endeavor, a testament to devotion and collective purpose. This spiritual aspect is mirrored in global megastructures. Consider the pyramids of Giza, the stone circles of Karnak in France, or Baalbek in Lebanon. Across continents, early civilizations constructed massive monuments aligned with celestial events, imbued with symbolism, and often abandoned or buried deliberately. These sites share common themes: astronomy, ritual, monumental engineering, and enduring mystery. Could there have been shared knowledge among early humans? Or are these examples of parallel innovation arising from similar cognitive and spiritual imperatives? Göbekli Tepe also forces us to reconsider the origins of civilization itself. Conventional history assumes that agriculture led to settlement, which then led to organized society and monumental architecture. Göbekli Tepe challenges this sequence. Here, monumental construction predates agriculture, suggesting that spiritual or ritualistic needs may have driven humans to organize socially, cooperate, and eventually cultivate land. Perhaps religion and ceremony came before cities and farms, providing the impetus for civilization as we know it. The deliberate burial of the enclosures adds another layer of intrigue. Around 8000 BCE, the monumental rings were covered with soil, effectively hiding the site from view. Why? Some argue it was ritual closure, a sacred act of sealing divine knowledge. Others suggest societal shifts or environmental pressures led to abandonment. Whatever the reason, the careful burial preserved the pillars, allowing them to survive millennia. This act of preservation hints at a sophisticated understanding of the passage of time and the importance of legacy. Göbekli Tepe's carvings and alignments also raise the possibility of proto-writing or symbolic communication. Repeated motifs and patterns suggest a shared system of meaning. Could the animals, geometric symbols, and anthropomorphic forms represent narratives, calendars, or cosmological teachings? Some researchers speculate that these carvings encode knowledge about the stars, seasonal cycles, or even human consciousness. In this sense, Göbekli Tepe may not be just a temple, but a repository of knowledge, encoded in stone for generations to come. Yet despite these insights, the site remains deeply enigmatic. Many questions remain unanswered. How were these massive stones quarried and moved with such precision? Why were monumental constructions undertaken by hunter-gatherers with no permanent settlements? What exactly do the symbols and carvings represent? And why are they so consistent across enclosures? What motivated the deliberate burial of the site? And why was it left untouched for millennia? The answers may lie in what Göbekli Tepe represents: a bridge between human imagination and reality, between the known and the unknowable. Standing amid the monoliths, one feels the weight of history, not just of stones, but of ideas, rituals, and the human capacity for creativity. And then there is the global connection. Göbekli Tepe is not an isolated anomaly. It belongs to a network of ancient sites where humans reached for the monumental, the mysterious, and the sacred. From Malta's hypogeum to the Andean sites of Pumapunku, from the ziggurats of Mesopotamia to the stone circles of Britain, humanity has left a trail of enigmas that defy simple explanation. These sites suggest a shared drive toward understanding, recording, and interacting with forces beyond ordinary life. Whether those forces are spiritual, cosmic, or societal. As we prepare to conclude our exploration of Gobekli Tepe, it becomes clear that the site's greatest mystery is not merely the engineering or the carvings, but the human story behind it. Who were the people capable of such vision? What beliefs compelled them to shape their world with stone, to encode their knowledge in intricate carvings, and to bury it for posterity? And most importantly, what lessons does Gobekli Tepe offer us about human potential, ingenuity, and curiosity? As we approach the final understanding of Gobekli Tepe, one truth becomes increasingly clear. This site was not merely a collection of stones, but a statement, an expression of human thought, ritual, and ambition unlike anything seen before its time. To appreciate its magnitude, we must consider the convergence of engineering, spirituality, and symbolism in ways that continue to baffle even the most advanced researchers. The engineering feats alone are staggering. The monolithic pillars, some weighing over 20 tons, were quarried, shaped, and positioned with precision that modern tools could only dream of matching. Every pillar aligns with its counterpart, forming circular enclosures that create both physical and symbolic harmony. The effort required for such coordination implies not just manpower, but planning, knowledge of physics, and an understanding of stone properties that few assume existed in a pre-agricultural society. Yet Gobekli Tepe was more than a technical marvel. The carvings etched into its pillars reveal a complex worldview. Predators dominate prey, yet humans appear as abstract forms among these animals. Geometric patterns repeat in ways that hint at ritual, cosmology, or perhaps early symbolic language. Some pillars may even encode astronomical information, marking solstices or star positions, suggesting that these early humans were not only skilled builders, but also keen observers of the heavens. What makes Gobekli Tepe even more remarkable is its deliberate burial. Long after the enclosures were constructed, the site was covered with soil, a monumental effort in itself. This act preserved the site for millennia, leaving it almost intact for future generations. The motivation behind this burial is unknown, but it suggests an extraordinary awareness of time and legacy. Whoever buried Gobekli Tepe understood that they were leaving something valuable, not just for their contemporaries, but for posterity, a message in stone that would endure far beyond their own lifetimes. Gobekli Tepe also challenges the timeline of human civilization. For decades, scholars argued that agriculture, settlements, and organized societies had to precede monumental architecture. But here, at Gobekli Tepe, we see the reverse: ritual and monumental construction predating agriculture. Could it be that the drive to understand the universe, to worship, or to gather communally sparked the very first steps toward civilization? Religion and ritual, rather than necessity, may have inspired humans to settle, cultivate, and organize societies, a reversal of everything we thought we knew about history. The global parallels further deepen the mystery. From the pyramids of Giza to Baalbek, from Puma Punku to Malta's Hypogeum, early humans left a trail of monumental sites that echo the achievements at Gobekli Tepe. Across continents, we see extraordinary engineering, celestial alignments, and symbolic carvings, suggesting either a shared knowledge or an innate drive for innovation and ritualistic expression that emerges independently across cultures. Gobekli Tepe may be the earliest known example, but it is part of a larger narrative of human ambition and ingenuity. Even today, archaeologists are still uncovering new layers, hidden carvings, and unexcavated enclosures. Every discovery raises new questions. Why were certain animals emphasized? Do the geometric carvings represent a proto-language, What drove the builders to construct circles so massive, align them so precisely, and then bury them deliberately? Göbekli Tepe continues to challenge not only our understanding of prehistory, but also our assumptions about what humans are capable of when driven by belief, vision, and collaboration. The spiritual significance of the site cannot be overstated. Scholars suggest that these enclosures were ceremonial centers, where dispersed groups gathered seasonally to engage in ritual, share knowledge, and reinforce social bonds. This implies a level of societal organization that is extraordinary for a pre-agricultural society. Göbekli Tepe may have been a magnet for human cooperation, a sacred ground where early humans could commune with the divine, with nature, and perhaps even with the stars themselves. And the more we study the site, the more it seems to invite interpretation rather than providing answers. The carvings, the architectural choices, and the burial suggest a society engaged with concepts that transcended survival. They were thinking about their place in the cosmos, their relationship to other living beings, and the legacy they would leave behind. In this sense, Göbekli Tepe is not just an archaeological site. It is a mirror of the human mind, revealing the deep cognitive and spiritual capabilities of our ancestors. As the sun sets over the southeastern Turkish plains, the T-shaped pillars cast elongated shadows, creating a visual symphony of stone and light. It is here, standing amid these ancient monoliths, that one begins to sense the full impact of Göbekli Tepe. It is more than stone. It is a testament to ambition, vision, and human potential. It is a silent record of a people who reached far beyond survival, who sought to encode meaning, knowledge, and spirituality into the very fabric of their world. Göbekli Tepe stands as a monument not just of stone, but of human imagination, ambition, and belief. After 12,000 years, its pillars continue to rise from the Turkish hills, silent yet eloquent, challenging everything we thought we knew about the origins of civilization. Every circle, every pillar, every carving is a testament to a society that defies conventional timelines, proving that the story of humanity is far more complex, far stranger, and far more remarkable than we ever imagined. The deliberate construction of massive monoliths by hunter-gatherers alone would be astonishing. That these pillars were arranged in concentric enclosures, carved with intricate representations of animals, humans, and abstract symbols, and potentially aligned with celestial events, elevates Göbekli Tepe to a level of achievement that modern archaeologists still struggle to fully comprehend. It was not just architecture. It was an act of creation, an expression of knowledge, and a spiritual endeavor. What drives fascination is not only the scale and sophistication of the site, but the profound questions it raises about human capability. How did these people, without permanent settlements or agriculture, organize, communicate, and execute such monumental labor? What inspired them to carve the stories of their world into stone, to create spaces for ritual and reflection, and then to deliberately bury these creations for posterity? The answers remain elusive, hidden beneath layers of history, waiting for discovery, or perhaps destined to remain a mystery. Göbekli Tepe also forces us to rethink the origins of civilization. Previously, historians believed that agriculture, settlement, and organized society emerged before monumental architecture. Yet here, the sequence is reversed. Ritual and spiritual expression preceded agriculture, suggesting that the human desire to understand the universe, to honor the divine, and to gather communally may have been the catalyst for civilization itself. Religion and ritual may have inspired humans to settle, organize, and innovate, rather than merely to survive. The symbolic carvings, meanwhile, continue to challenge interpretation. Predators and prey, abstract forms, anthropomorphic figures, geometric patterns. Each tells a story that is incomplete, encrypted in stone, yet evocative of belief, cosmology, and social cohesion. Some scholars even suggest that these carvings contain astronomical knowledge, hinting at an understanding of the stars and seasonal cycles long before written records. Göbekli Tepe, in this sense, becomes both a temple and a library, preserving knowledge in a form that transcends time. Globally, Göbekli Tepe resonates with other ancient marvels. From Baalbek's colossal stones to the pyramids of Giza, from Malta's Hippogrium to Pumapunku in Bolivia, humanity has left a trail of mysteries that echo the achievements at Göbekli Tepe. Across continents, we find monumental construction, celestial alignments, and symbolic carvings, an enduring testament to the universality of human curiosity and ambition. Are these the products of shared knowledge lost to time, or do they reflect independent bursts of ingenuity arising across distant cultures? The question remains open, leaving us to marvel at the possibilities. Perhaps the greatest lesson of Göbekli Tepe lies not in the stones themselves, but in what they reveal about the human mind. This site embodies creativity, vision, cooperation, and the pursuit of meaning. It reminds us that our ancestors were not primitive. They were capable of profound thought, extraordinary skill, and spiritual depth that continues to inspire awe today. Standing before the pillars, one can almost hear whispers from the past. They speak of rituals long forgotten, knowledge encoded in stone, and beliefs that guided communities for millennia. They challenge us to reconsider the assumptions we make about early humans, to question what we define as civilization, and to marvel at the enduring drive to leave a mark on the world. Göbekli Tepe is more than an archaeological site. It is a mirror of our origins, a reflection of human potential, and a testament to our enduring curiosity. It teaches that even in the absence of modern tools, sophisticated societies, or written language, humans were capable of acts of monumental creativity, innovation, and devotion. And yet, despite centuries of study, the site remains mysterious. Each excavation, each new discovery, raises more questions than answers. Why were the enclosures buried? What precisely did the symbols mean? Were the alignments with the stars intentional, and what knowledge guided them? These questions endure, ensuring that Göbekli Tepe will continue to captivate archaeologists, historians, and dreamers for generations to come. Ultimately, Göbekli Tepe is a story of human imagination confronting the unknown. It is a reminder that the past holds secrets still waiting to be uncovered, that our understanding of history is always evolving, and that the drive to explore, understand, and create has always been at the heart of what it means to be human. As the sun sets over the ancient hilltop, casting shadows across the T-shaped pillars, one cannot help but feel a profound sense of awe. These stones, carved by hands long gone, continue to speak. They speak not only of the past, but of the possibilities of human potential, the mysteries of the universe, and the enduring questions that define our existence. Göbekli Tepe stands as a monument to the ingenuity, spirituality, and enduring curiosity of our ancestors, reminding us that history is far stranger, far more complex, and far more inspiring than we often imagine. And as long as these pillars stand, they will continue to challenge, inspire, and provoke wonder. A testament to a world we thought we knew, yet barely understand. The mysteries of Göbekli Tepe endure, and so does the invitation to look deeper, question further, and marvel endlessly at the genius of humanity.